Aguero could be Juve's hero. Van der Beek's future up in the air at United. Germany hit new low, buying in for Son, and the transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Froelich, you with the OneFootballers, and this is the Daily News. So first up, and according to Juventus legend Franco Calcio, Sergio Aguero could be the hero that Juventus need. The former player has likened Sergio Aguero to Carlos Tevez and said if he really wants to, he could go to Juve, put in the effort and become an absolute legend. I wonder what he thinks about Cristiano Ronaldo and Paulo Dybala, because of course those are the two main strikers at Juventus at the moment, along of course with Alvaro Morata, who's on the season on loan from Atletico Madrid, and I'm not so sure where Sergio Aguero fits in. If Juve are backing Ronaldo, they're backing a player who's already older than Aguero. I can't really see them going for someone who's just a few years younger. If they're backing Paulo Dybala, Aguero's a few years older, so that also doesn't really make much sense. Personally, I'm not so sure Sergio Aguero is going to end up at Juventus, especially because they're going to have to choose one of those two. But on top of this, it looks like he may not even be ending up at Barcelona. Ronald Koeman has reportedly said that he does not want the Argentine attacker to join his squad, as he wants to stick to the original plan of bringing in Memphis Depay. Of course, both of those players would come in on a free. Memphis Depay being a few years younger would probably prove more effective in the long term, and I'm guessing that Memphis Depay's wages would probably be a little bit lower than Sergio Aguero's would. Of course, this wouldn't exactly sit so well with Lionel Messi, who seems clearly determined to bring one of his best friends to the club. As to where you guys think he's going to end up and who will replace him at Manchester City, we released a video on this yesterday, which you can find by clicking right here. Moving on though, and to Manchester United, where apparently Donny van der Beek's future is up in the air and it relies solely on the future of Paul Pogba. According to a report from The Athletic, Paul Pogba's future means that Donny van der Beek will either be playing in a deep-lying central position for United, or he may be out of the club altogether. It's fair to say that his first season at the Red Devils hasn't exactly gone to plan, and there are rumours that they don't believe he's strong enough in the defensive position to play in a midfield double pivot, the likes that we've seen McTominay and Fred play in. And it's rumoured that Manchester United are looking at bringing a central defensive midfielder. If they manage to do that and they manage to shore up the defensive part of their midfield, then maybe Van der Beek could play alongside this player, potentially someone like Declan Rice, and it would allow him to be a deep-lying playmaker to get forward and support the likes of Bruno Fernandes and the rest of the attackers. If not though, Paul Pogba is going to be part of this midfield pivot along with someone like McTominay, and it doesn't really leave much room for Donny van der Beek. At the moment, Juventus seem keen on bringing Pogba back to the club, but it's going to cost them a fair bit of money, and they'll have to get rid of quite a few players first. At the moment, Paul Pogba looks like he's going to stay. I know there's been lots of talk with Mino Raiola, but I just think that the kind of money that anyone's going to be asking for a midfielder of his quality is not really going to be working this summer, and that can only spell bad news for Donny van der Beek. Personally though, I'm not even sure that Van der Beek should be in competition with Paul Pogba for a spot. In my view, he's the one who's got to be in competition with Bruno Fernandes for that number 10 spot, and unfortunately he's going to lose every time because Bruno Fernandes is one of, if not the best attacking midfielder in the Premier League. Moving on then, and to a quick roundup of last night's action, and pun intended, it's a new low for Germany. After some shocking international matches recently, including getting relegated from their UEFA Nations League and just generally not having it all their way, they lost last night to North Macedonia 2-1. Pandev scored, by the way, still going, age 37. Germany managed to hit back through a penalty, but lost it with a few minutes to go, and then Timo Werner, just when you thought all the memes about him not really having the best season at Chelsea were done and dusted with, he's picked up his form in the last few weeks, misses an absolute sitter. At this point, I just feel sorry for the guy. Like, as a striker, it's clear and obvious when you make a mistake, and everyone's talking about it, and about 10 yards out, all he had to do was stroke the ball to the back of the net, and he missed. And Germany aren't exactly in the best situation. Maybe it is a good thing that manager Jogi Löw is leaving after the Euros this summer. How they will fare in the European Championship, well, that's a completely different story altogether. After all this bad form, mark my words, do not put it past the German squad absolutely turning up at this summer's Euros and going really, really far. Elsewhere, and Harry Maguire managed to bag a goal for England as they beat Poland 2-1 to make it 9 points out of 9 in their first 3 World Cup qualifiers. And there were also big wins for the likes of Scotland, Israel, Denmark and Iceland. So next up then, into a bit of transfer news, which I don't believe is actually serious transfer news. According to some reports in Germany, Bayern Munich is sounding out the possibility of bringing in Heung-Min Son. Now, The Tottenham attacker was set to sign a new deal, but because of the ongoing global pandemic and the attack on finances that's had, Spurs put it off until the end of the season, and it's thought with his deal running out in 2023, Bayern Munich are going to wait one more season, hope that Son doesn't sign a new deal, and in 2022, with just one year left on his contract, they'll be hoping that Spurs are willing to cash in and they can bring the Korean back to the Bundesliga where he made his name with Bayer Leverkusen. Of course, these rumours have been completely and utterly refuted by quite a few journalists in Germany who have said that that actually isn't the case. They've got Kingsley Coman, they've got Serge Gnabry, and they've got Leroy Sané for the future. Thomas Müller can play out wide. They've also got Jamal Musiala coming through in the youth team as well. And they're really not going to be spending a lot of money on Heung-Min Son, who's also going to have crazy wages on top of that. At the moment, it looks like the deal with Spurs and all the talks are still ongoing, and he will end up eventually signing a new deal with the club. So maybe that one's a little bit of a non-starter. Having said that, can you imagine Son at Bayern? That would take them to a new level of lethal in attack. Oh, and on top of all of this, the CEO at Bayern Munich has said that no, they're not interested in Erling Haaland because they've got the world's best in that position in Robert Lewandowski. Lastly, then, we come to a quick roundup of the rest of the day's transfer news that you might have missed. First off, and Inter Milan have identified Napoli's Nikola Maksimovic in defence as a potential target this summer when his contract expires. Spurs and Jose Mourinho have been rejected in their approach for Real Madrid defender Miguel Gutierrez. Newcastle United are looking at potential replacements for Steve Bruce, and Burnley manager Sean Dyche is top of that list. And lastly, Liverpool owners FSG have announced a brand new investment which has seen basketball star LeBron James become part of the club's board. On top of all of this, though, unfortunately, this money that's been invested into the club is to go towards rebuilding Anfield and not towards the transfer budget. That's all from me then today. Make sure you check out everything else we've got going on OneFootball, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.